All right, guys, we are live. Sandy Cerami coming at you with my man, the man with the devastating right hand, my right hand guy, Mr. Ron Marvo, who is, depending on how your screen is set up, either on the left or right hand side of the picture. And in between, we got a rose in between two thorns.
Amen.
My man who says if you're having trouble in your life or in your business, you're the effing problem. That is Mr. Adam Marburger. What's up, bro?
That is true. Hey, how you doing? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I'm glad to be here. Let's party.
Let's do it, baby.
Amen. Earlier today, I was speaking with Ron. I said, I'm really looking forward to this broadcast specifically because I know that AM, my man Adam Marburger, is going to bring it, and I'm not going to have to pull content from him, and it's going to be fun. And we're going to talk about everything today. I don't want to talk about your story. I want to talk about what's going on in automotive right now because there's so much to break down and digest. I mean, what did Confucius say? We live in interesting times. I mean, if he wasn't looking at the car business in 2021, 2022, I don't know what he was looking at.
Right.
When he said that.
Truth.
So Adam, talk a little bit about your story, bro. I want to know just a little bit about how you grew up. What life was like for Adam Marburger growing up, and then how the hell did you get into the car business? Were you a prisoner of war and brought in shackles, or did you come willingly? And tell us a little bit about the story behind Adam Marburger.
Yeah, absolutely. So grew up in a very middle-class family outside of St. Louis, a little town called Wood River. I was always eager to get into business. My father kind of forced me into business at some level. He wasn't bad with money, but he was just kind of tight. He was kind of moochy, used to complain about, money being tight. And I remember one day looking at him and, he'd bring out this bill box once a month and he'd write bills and just in a mad, angry, nasty mood. And I'll never forget looking at him saying, I do not want to be him. I want to do whatever it takes to not be that. Mm-hmm. At the time I had a paper route and I was, I think I had 30, 40 different papers. I'd get up in the morning, deliver those papers, collect, got tips. I asked the local Alton Telegraph for 2 more routes. So from the age of 13 till 17, I had 3 routes. And so I'd get up in the morning. I made money. I made my own money. And so that was kind of like the start of me kind of getting into business and wanting to be in business. And I always cooked in kitchens. I like to cook. I still love to cook. My senior year in high school, I had enough credits. People laugh at this. My first semester, my senior year, first of all, I lived on my own. I had my own house. I had 2 roommates. And my first semester, I had PE, which I was always a great student in PE. I don't know what it was. I straight A student in PE.
Real easy. Yeah.
And then I had that rigorous academic content that you had to digest, right?
It was tough. It was tough. So I had foods in PE my first semester, and then I went to my restaurant and I cooked the rest of the day. Then the second semester, really difficult schedule. I had PE again, and then I had advanced foods. So my senior year, basically, I had PE in a foods class my whole year, and I worked at this restaurant. Well, I went away after I graduated high school. I went with some friends down to Panama City Beach, Florida. We partied like 18-year-old kids do.
Sure.
And I came back in town, and the owner of the restaurant's like, hey, I got bad news and good news. I said, give me the bad. He goes, well, we're closing the restaurant. Okay. He goes, well, what's the good? He goes, you're going with me to sell cars. And so he takes me to this Toyota dealership, and I was like, there's no way in hell. I'm not selling cars, you loser. Like, that's what I'm like, cars. Yeah. So I met with the GM and I said, no, I'm going to start. I started back as a porter. I was interviewing for a sales job.
Sure.
I was like, I ain't doing that. And I requested to be a porter. So that's where it all started. I was basically right when I turned 19. I was 18 still, right as I turned 19. Started in the back, started cleaning cars. And back then we actually detailed. We ran the buff. We were trained to buff cars. I loved that job. But I started out as a porter, and I made friends with everybody in the entire dealership. And the salespeople used me as their little dealer trade guy. So I was always running errands for the sales team and doing whatever they told me. And then finally got talked in after like 6 or 7 months into getting into sales. And that's where it started for me. And I haven't looked back. So 1999.
I love the fact that you went to the porter spot first. Now, whether your motivation was because you didn't want to be in sales or you really wanted to start at the bottom is immaterial. It was the right place to get started because
Sure.
it's amazing what we learn in the bowels of the dealership operation. The things that nobody tells us about. I had the good fortune of starting there as well as a kid. I was born into the business as a third generation, car brat, if you will. But I started cleaning bathrooms, and the things that I learned about, humility and service, and also figuring out what's going on below deck, if you will,
Sure.
really helped a lot, throughout the course of my career. So I give you kudos for that. The thing that makes me laugh is that, you had this aversion to selling cars. Here's the one thing that the restaurant owner did for you that was just, what it was fortuitous, and that is put you into a Toyota store. If you're going to start, ain't no
Oh,
better
yeah.
place, in my opinion, than
There's
starting a
no
Toyota
better.
store.
There's no. And we were a Dodge Toyota line under the
Okay.
same roof. Like
Yep.
at this time, that's what we were still under the same roof.
Yep.
And I remember, and nothing against Dodge, guys. Like I have a lot of Chrysler stores I'm signed with.
Mhm.
I love my
Sure.
CDJR stores from a profitability standpoint.
It's an
Let
ass
me tell
kicking.
you.
It's a real ass kicking 4-pack at this
Yeah.
point, as far as I'm concerned.
Fact.
Well, here, so my customer would come in and they're looking at a Dodge Neon. Remember the Neons?
Of course.
Sure.
Or a Toyota Corolla. It was really difficult for me to not take them straight to the Toyota Corolla because here, when you start selling Toyotas, I mean, that brand's truly elite. I mean, I was very, I fell in love with that Toyota brand out the gate. And then I ended up going
Yep.
to Nissan for 17 years. And it took me a little bit of time
Wow.
to cross over because I was so brainwashed that Toyota is the end all be all. There's no better product,
hmm
and it took me time to be able to understand there's other great products out there, not just Toyota.
Yep.
For
Yep.
sure.
No question. Yeah, but I tell you, I always talk about their ability to get it right far more often than they get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I came up on the General Motors side of things. I've got still a ton of friends. We've got clients that are General Motors dealers. We just had the opportunity to go down and speak at a General Motors event down in Florida recently. But it's a different way of doing business over at Toyota than any other manufacturer that's out there. That includes Lexus. Obviously, there's just something about the way they make decisions and about how they allocate resources and tend to not get caught up in a lot of the hype or a lot of the emotion that we tend to see in the marketplace today, which is a great segue to talk about. Like,
Electric
I'm
vehicles.
curious. Ron knows exactly where I'm
Oh,
going.
yeah.
It's the whole EV craze, and I am at the risk of sounding like an EV hater. I am not. I think that they're incredible technology. They represent opportunity, but I also believe that the lunacy that's going on right now with the level of resource being diverted and committed to the EV platforms right now is going to be looked at in the next 18 to 24 months as a bit of a miscalc on the part of both the OEMs and the dealers. I see the math, right? 288 million cars parked across the country. And right now we're on a 14.5 million car pace for new vehicle retail and declining.
Yeah.
And declining. And so,
Yep.
when you take that math into consideration, if we were to replace every one of the vehicles that we're producing as an EV, it's
God.
still 20 years before this thing is flipped. So what are we really looking at here in terms of flipping over to the EV model, if you will? I think there's a lot behind it. What are your thoughts in terms of what you're seeing and what you're hearing from your dealers with respect to EV and the direction it's going right now?
What I'm seeing is I see a trend, and there's no question that the EV is the shiny object right now, and the EV is being forced upon dealers from the manufacturer now. We don't have the infrastructure in place. There's too many unknown variables, and we're going after that shiny object. And I almost feel that we're being persuaded and pushed to chase that shiny object. I'm all for EVs. I'm for EVs, okay? But I need 400 miles in a range, and I need to be able to get that thing charged quickly. I'm telling you right now, I had one of my agents in Florida pick me up, okay? Picked me up in Orlando. We had a very important meeting in Melbourne. He picks me up at the airport and goes, because we had an hour and a half drive to get to Melbourne.
Yeah, you
He
read
goes-
my mind. Read my
He
mind.
goes, we're going to, you might even know Chris Saraceno. I was going to see my boy Chris
Of
Saraceno.
course I know Chris.
That's my brother. I was going to see him. And I was like literally 10 minutes late. And I'm not late to anything because we had to stop and charge his damn EV, this Ford, I forgot what model it was. We had to go charge his EV because the range. And here's the thing. The range told him he had another like 112, and then it went from 112 to like 40, and then we're freaking out and had to go stop. That gave me a bad taste in my mouth that day and had my blood boiling a little bit.
Of course.
Well, range anxiety. Yeah, range anxiety is a real thing, and Ron can speak to it from a technical perspective far more effectively than I can, to be truthful. Where I look at it is from the practical sense, right? Like I look at it from the big picture perspective in terms of the 288 million and dividing in how we're going to carve into that over time. But I also look at it from this perspective too. There's this big red herring narrative that's tossed out into the marketplace with respect to it's a more environmentally friendly alternative to the internal combustion engine, which is absolute bullshit. All we're doing is transferring the pollution, if you will, okay, from the tailpipe to the production facility for the electricity. And what do we need for that? Well, we certainly don't have enough solar. We certainly don't have enough wind or water. I'm looking at, are we going to make the smart move finally towards using more nuclear? Understanding we've got to have a healthy mix of the fossil fuels that everybody seems to feel is evil. But I think this is the red herring piece of it, is the environmental impact. I also think that there's a move underfoot to bifurcate the dealer distribution model. And I think that is an attack on the dealer body that they better be aware of. I have seen with my own two eyes letters being circulated by attorneys taking steps, specifically with respect to one manufacturer. I'm not going to name them here. Everybody knows who it is. And that is going to be the first shot that's fired, if you will, with respect to this battle. And it's coming.
It is coming. Let me ask you this. What the hell do we do with these batteries? These
oh my gosh, right?
What do you do with them? So we're talking about like environmental friendly. We're changing the world for the better. But what do we do with the batteries?
Yep.
Like, what do you do with them when they're done?
Once they die, once they expire, essentially.
I know he's probably not the most popular with some folks right now, and I can't understand why. But anyhow, Elon Musk, I am really putting a lot of faith in the fact that he is going to figure a lot of this out. He and his team, they seem to have been the ones that they spend quality time focusing on real solutions that have long-term potential. He made some calculated moves early on with respect to battery technology. He opened up the kimono for everybody to take a look at so that he could pull everybody up to where he was in terms of technology and innovation. And he knew he needed to do that for the infrastructure piece, right? I think now what you're bringing about with respect to the battery is the next thing that they've got to tackle.
Yeah, it definitely is, no doubt. I mean, you do have technology in these batteries that do have cooling, heating system, and each battery has its own individual amount of cells. You can obviously, while you're under warranty, like when I worked for Audi, you have your cells that you just would replace when a cell goes bad and put a new one in. So there are technologies that will continue to make that a little bit less of a problem, but I don't see it not being a problem as these cars are on the road for longer, et cetera. And just like your phone battery, which Jeff had mentioned, you get a new phone and what happens to your battery over time? It holds less and less of a charge, and then you go down that stream. To Brad Carrier's point, what's going on, Brad? Again, Financial.
BC, what's up, BC?
So Brad made the point of, if I'm going to play devil's advocate and go out on a limb and say if dealers are open and able to pivot to an EV-friendly dealership, they could have a huge opportunity to differentiate themselves in a market. Yeah. I completely agree, Brad. Yeah. It definitely has to work for your PMA, your primary market area, and then also speaking directly to people that have that intrigue to EV. I'm curious on your guys' opinion. Why would people not make the jump to hybrid first who are thinking EV, and why are the OEMs maybe not making as big of a stake in the hybrid model? Is it because they've done it already in the past, or do they think that, let's just jump right to EV?
Before we answer that question, I want to go back to something that Adam said, which I think is appropriate, and that is that is being forced upon the marketplace right now. That there are fingers on the scale, if you will, that is pushing this narrative and pushing this initiative to the point where it feels like it's going to be pushed back instead of adoption. And so, to Brad's point, I understand the devil's advocate piece. I agree. It should be something where you do have a EV friendly dealership. I'm not one that's for a EV centric or a wholly dedicated EV dealership model or approach this early in the game. There's a lot that has to happen. Would you agree, Adam?
I would say so. And what's wrong with like having it all? I mean, can't we sell trucks, cars, vans, SUVs, EV, hybrid? I'm open to all of it.
Sure, I agree.
They're all widgets. Let's have more widgets.
Yeah,
there's going to be customers. Here, I'm going to tell you right now, and we'll use Tesla for an example. You know, when I'll be back in LA next week. I'm in LA often. It seems like every Uber's a Tesla that I'm in.
Yeah.
They're quiet. They're sexy. I freaking like them. I don't know if I want to buy one right now, but I do like them. I think they're neat. I think the interior, they're very futuristic and modern and sexy, in my opinion. I like them.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm an equal opportunist. But you know what I also like? I like my Nissan Armada that I can put my 100 kids in and get them everywhere.
Amen.
They need to go.
5.6 liter V8. How we doing?
Yeah,
I don't want to not have range anxiety, Adam, to your point before. I'm going to put my kids in the back of my SUV. I don't want to have range anxiety if I'm going away on a family trip. Now, I will give a nod to Tesla too. That Tesla Plaid is like breakneck. Like your cheeks are literally pulled back from the torque in that vehicle. So from a performance perspective,
it's a badass vehicle, no doubt.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. And a lot of the Ford Mustang Mach-E, what a killer vehicle.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a lot of the e-tron. I mean, I keep going on and on about some of the EV plays in the marketplace. And I don't want to sound like I'm anti-EV. Again, I say like I am anti ramming it down the market and the dealers' throats because there's ulterior motive behind it. That's where I get frustrated. And when you talked about the fact that there's a what I would say is an uneven hand on the scale before, Adam, I think you're spot on, that there's more to it than meets the eye. How do you see it impacting the overall business side, right? So F&I products are going to have to evolve over time as well. And that's obviously an area that you're an expert in the fixed operations end. You know, who's working on these vehicles, how we're working on these vehicles, what equipment and resources that we're going to need in order to effectively handle these vehicles coming through the shop. What are your thoughts in terms of what you're seeing right now?
Well, here, my thoughts are everything's going to change, and we're not ready for it. We're not ready for it. We need to be patient. We need to get educated, and we have to let it play out a little bit. As far as the F&I side of things, our administrators, you know, I've got a dozen third-party administrators, and half of them are already proactive and have solutions.
Right.
The other half of them are kind of waiting around, and they'll go to school off someone else's putt.
Sure.
They'll innovate off of somebody else's idea. But
you know, it goes back to what we were talking about before we even got on screen, which is the counter puncher versus the aggressor.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And so there's a lot of unknown variables and there's uncertainty out there, but some of our providers are being proactive and we've got EV solutions in place already.
Sure. Would you say, Adam, that the best way dealers could protect themselves right now is to just be proactive in looking for solutions that will protect them in the long term?
Yes.
And
proactivity beats reactivity every single day.
Agreed,
I think the name of the game is to plug in with thought leaders like yourselves, stay educated, stay close to your other dealer body, find out what they're doing, and just be ready and willing to accept information and strategize. Because really, we don't have the answer. We just don't. We don't have the answer.
Market.
Yeah.
No, and the funny thing is when we talk about, again, you know, the forced adoption that we see occurring today, you know, they're asking dealers to make very significant investments on a per rooftop basis, strong seven-figure investments on a per rooftop basis. And this has seemingly come out of almost nowhere. And I think it's a direct byproduct of Tesla envy on the part of the OEMs, for sure. And they keep looking at it as it's the electric vehicle play. Well, there's another piece to it, Adam, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I think it's the buying experience. I referenced my buddy, Mr. Tim Cox, TC, the top cat over at Carnow. And so
that's cooking, Tim.
Yeah, those, you know, having the kind of buying experience online that Tesla is delivering, and a lot of dealers are now able to effectively deliver as well, is part of the success piece as well. Would you agree?
Absolutely. We need to sell cars to consumers the way they want to buy cars. Period.
Amen.
We need to listen to them. It's just what it is. And there's not a one size fits all solution. We have to make it
Sure.
simple. For the customer that wants to do it completely digital and they don't want to have a human interaction, we have to provide that. For people like myself, my personality, I like talking to people. I want to be involved. You're going to get involved and engage with me, and I want to be in person. I'm good with that. But we have to listen, and we need to provide an experience based around the actual consumer. Now, I'm going to back up for a minute. I'm going to give you an example. We were talking EV. So I've got a couple stores in Texas, and I've got a dealer that basically is telling Ford, I'm not real interested in this whole EV thing. And I've got a dealer that's cutting ties with Buick because they're in the middle of cowboy town. Good old country boys writing checks, buying trucks.
Right.
Yep.
There is not saying there'll never be the opportunity or the need for EV in this market. But what I've seen in my eyes, let me tell you, I was at a store 2 weeks ago and I was training and launching the porters on our chemicals. I opened up the back. This dealer's got 100 head of cattle behind his dealership, right? Like these guys are in the country. There is no need for this dealer to spend the money that the manufacturers want him to spend to be EV ready because he's not selling any EVs anytime soon. Just like this dealer has never completed a digital retailing deal, probably not gonna anytime soon. Now, I'm not saying there's not a need for it at some point. We're talking about this dealer and his demographic with his community. There's just not a need for it right now.
Sure.
And so
you raise such a great point, Adam, because we get preached to on a regular basis about meeting people where they are in the marketplace and communicating with them in a way that they want to be communicated with. And I think a lot of times that the partnership between the OEMs and the dealers gets sullied as a result of very often the OEM not recognizing the fact that not every market or not every dealership is going to move at the same pace. I know that they've got big ships to turn and they've got big plans to execute, but at the end of the day, I believe that you lose more than you gain when you try and turn the curve of adoption from a bell curve shape into like the shape of a pretty finite V. I think you lose opportunity there. I think you miss an opportunity to connect meaningfully with not just your dealers, but also prospects in the marketplace. And you also, I believe, leave very valuable resources laying on the side of the road on your path to the destination that you are pursuing. And so I hope that as we move forward, that they start to slow things down a little bit so they can go faster.
Absolutely.
If you want to speed this thing up, slow it down a little bit, give people a chance to catch up, digest everything you're throwing at them, as opposed to just giving the dump, in one fell swoop. And that's what it feels like right now for folks.
Agreed. 100% agree with that.
Yeah, you raise a great point as well about communicating with people digitally when they want to be communicated with digitally. And then you flipped it around and said, hey, I'm somebody that likes to talk to people. That's one of the mistakes that I see in that part of the process, which is we go either all one way or all the other, or we have nothing to offer them, right? In terms of the ability to communicate, vis-a-vis the mobile phone, the tablet, or the laptop, whether it's live chat or a chat bot. I think we got to bifurcate and figure out when we've got to use one versus the other. Sometimes I see the one size fits all approach is what's blowing up that experience for most of the.
And you know what? You know how elementary and simple it is to simply ask the consumer, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer,
how do you prefer?
before we start the engagement in this transaction, how do you prefer to be communicated with?
Isn't that interesting?
Text, email, video chat, phone call, in person. It's about you. It's not about me. Like, how hard is it? It's not hard.
It isn't. And the funny thing is, like, you can offer, because there's so many tools in the marketplace today, you can offer that opportunity to communicate, with your prospects digitally using a chat bot or using an actual live person. You got enough salespeople running around and BDC reps running around your dealerships these days that we can afford that. For sure. Oh, my man, Steve Apicella. This is one of the smartest guys in the business, by the way.
Amen.
Steve Apicella. If you don't know who he is, by the way, you need to look him up on LinkedIn and connect with Steve. But he gets it. He's a visionary dude. I'm just going to say it the only way I know how. Ron, read off what he's read.
Yeah, so he said the very essence that separates the brick and mortar dealers from the 100% online only dealers is the brick and mortar dealer's unique ability to also locally service their customers, kind of to your point, Adam, about the Buick dealer out there with that they want trucks, the ownership experience beyond buying experience alone, and digital life cycle beyond digital retailing lifetime value, Stephen, alone is the exclusive arena where we'll surpass the 100% only retailers, as they are only selling cars in a one-time transaction. They're transactional minded, not relationship minded. Amen.
I got to follow Stephen. If I'm not already following him, I'm definitely going to follow that gentleman.
Yeah, no, you should. I was introduced to Steve through mutual contact years ago. And I tell you, he impressed the crap out of me. I met him at a hotel near Newark Airport, and he was with his team in town. We had about a half an hour to spend with each other, and I knew that he represented a visionary in terms of what this business can and was going to become. His point is so perfectly made, though, because he talks about it from a relational experience versus a transactional experience. And that to me is everything. If you want to continue to grow your business, and Adam, you know this, you have to develop relationships over time. You have to be somewhat patient to allow those things to develop.
Yeah.
And relationships, everything.
And even to your point, Adam, about how you're meeting them where they are and how they want to do business, that subconsciously speaks to them that you're more interested in having the relationship with them and what's most important to them and how they'd like to go ahead buying a vehicle. How much do you feel, as technology continues to progress, how much do you feel that the human element of interaction is going to come back in a bigger volume? Will it play a huge factor moving forward? Because at least the three of us here, we talk relationships over transactional mindset. Do you feel that that's going to be really embodied in the dealer body out there moving forward? Do you think that the consumer base is going to look for more of it?
Well, I think that the consumer base needs it. They loathe for it. We as human beings, when we were born, we were hardwired to connect and to communicate with each other. I think, like for me, I have a dealership where I do business. Okay. I want to be able to text and call the person that my go-to. I want to be able to have somebody handle the issues that pop up. I love the human interaction, and I believe in my heart that the majority of the human population does too. There are certain people that absolutely cannot stand to go into car dealerships, and those same people don't like going to Walmart either. They just don't want to be out in public. But I think the automotive space, we've pushed this digital mindset, which is a great thing. It's a blessing. Digital is a blessing to us. But the human interaction, the human element is not going to go anywhere because people still need people. People still count on people, and people still love people. So, I don't see it going anywhere. Good. Do I see it? To answer the question, is it going to increase or decrease? I don't have the answer to that.
Sure.
I think that we're being hardwired to say it'll decrease. Okay. But in my heart, I don't think that's the case. Because
I'm with you 100%, my man. And I'll reference something outside of automotive as evidence to people are yearning for that actual experience. Okay. Not just seeing it on a screen, but having the immersion opportunity in the quote unquote experience. Netflix just released a movie in theaters for 1 week. Okay. They didn't release it online on their primary platform, which is their streaming service. They released the movie Glass Onion Knives Out in movie theaters for a week. They did 15 million in box office revenue in 1 week. Okay. And so all I'm going to tell you is it was a ridiculously wildly successful box office release. I'm not going to just say that one experience or that one instance is evidence that that's going to be the case moving forward, but it certainly speaks to the appetite in the general public for more immersive and more connected experiences like that versus just, serve it to me on my mobile phone, my tablet, or my TV screen.
Yep.
And we should be taking notes there like that. And I want to get to your book because there's so much that we could unpack in the book side of it. But your book talks about, people, and you can't deny the fact that at the end of the day, while we are in the car business, we are really in the people business, and we lose sight of what it is that they're really looking for. And we try and paint every single one of these prospects with the same color brush because we're being deluged by the digital, or the digerati, as they say, with the fact that people want just an online experience because the other experiences become so laborious and tedious and painful. The truth is that for the dealerships and businesses that do it right, with the blend, the integration of the digital into the analog and personal touch world, where they can take high tech and high touch and marry it effectively, are the ones that are winning really big time right now. Let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about your book. I'm just going to say, You're the Effing Problem is the book. I put the link up here. If people want to find it on Amazon, they can go and just, search it on Amazon for sure. But tell me, what was it that prompted you to put pen to paper and put ink, to You're the Effing Problem? Like, what was it?
I felt in my heart that I was put on earth to share my story. I've got a very colorful one. I was a self-made guy at age 31. Self-made, was a millionaire at 31. Okay. I did everything on my own. I built up a nice little empire for myself. On the surface level, I had the perfect life, making money, family, travel. The world is just unicorns and rainbows. Okay. Well, that was the farthest thing from the truth. I was miserable in my own skin. I was in a marriage that was unfortunately not doing well. I had a string of things that happened to me in my life. And because of those things, I got humbled and knocked on my butt and lost everything quickly. And I'll even, because it's sitting here, let me be honest with you, okay? Because I talk to people and I get a lot of people, I don't want to say haters. I've had some people like, why do you have to cuss in your title? So let me explain real quick why the title is what it is.
Intelligent people cuss more.
Why? Because I think a lot of people can relate. So the title of this book is a conversation that I had with me. Okay. In 2019, in February, my stepfather passed away. He had a stroke on a Friday. He died on a Sunday. It really tore our family up. It was a bad deal.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you for that. And then on April 1st, the gentleman that I started this company with, we started Ascent Dealer Services on a Southwest flight coming home from San Francisco, NADA 2019. Okay. A gentleman by the name of Steve and I. Well, Steve took his own life on April the 1st. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
We started right after we started our company. And then right after that, my grandfather, who was the patriarch of the family, had passed away. And then right after that, the month after that, I filed for divorce. Okay. So now I'm living in a spare bedroom at my mom's house, who just lost her soulmate. She's grieving. I just lost everything, all my money, my business partner, my life. I'm sitting in a spare bedroom grieving. So I went through 90 days of self-sabotage, partying like a 22-year-old piece of crap. I was just in my own way. And I'll never forget, that's where this title comes from. I'm brushing my teeth, looking at myself in the mirror in August of 2019. I said, you know what, Adam? You're the effing problem. Yeah. It's you. It's always been you. And I'm going to get the hell out of my own way. And so that's why the subtitle is a guide to getting out of your own way. I got on my knees and begged God for forgiveness, for a new, fresh start. And then the rest is history. Chris Saraceno plays a role in that. I reached out to Chris for mentorship. I started plugging into the right people, doing the right things, and my life just skyrocketed out of control. Ascent Dealer Services exploded. And so my calling was I'm going to write my book and share my story, because how many people are stuck like me? How many people are depressed, lost, confused? How many people are thinking about taking their own life? How many people are engulfed in drugs and alcohol? How many people are literally wasting their God-given talents and abilities to a lie that's in their head? There's a lie in your head telling you you're not good enough, telling you you're not worthy. It's all a lie. So that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to help as many people as I possibly can get the things that they truly deserve.
Well, bro, you really struck a number of chords with me, talking about your motivation. I mean, first and foremost is, everybody out there sees what they see, this incredible veneer of social media where the very best that we have to offer is put on display. And the reality is that what we see is not always what we get. So kudos to you for having the guts and the introspection, because I think that is so sorely absent in society today, that introspective ability to look at yourself, inside yourself, and realize that we have a responsibility, our personal responsibility. Society is telling us something different, especially when you scan the social media jungle right now.
Yeah.
I feel terribly sorry for the young folks in the world today, because that's all they've been exposed to.
Yeah.
And then, you talk about the fact that that you had other people that were influences in your life, and that you weren't alone. Chris Saraceno's book, The Theory of Five, talks about the fact that, we're not alone out there. Okay. And that there are other people that we can look to for inspiration and for intervention when we need it, to tell us the things that we don't necessarily want to hear. Talk a little bit about the climb out of despair, if you will. Like that, to me, the first step is the moment of introspection, brushing your teeth, and you say, you're the problem, man. Like you are the one that needs to change. What did you do from that point? Give us 2, 3, 4, 5 steps that you took from that point to get yourself back on track.
Yeah. So there's like 100 steps, and I'll share a few of them, but
Sure.
I'll make a statement first.
Okay.
Being self-aware is probably one of the greatest qualities that we can possess.
It's a superpower.
A gentleman by the name of Dan Moore. Dan, you may know Dan.
I know who Dan is. Today's Dan's birthday.
He wrote a book, Do More, Get More, right? And I read that book, I think, in one sitting. And when I put that book down, I had a sense of self-awareness about me that I never had before. And I was able to look at myself for who I really am and not for who I think I am. And so just to kick that off is I became brutally self-aware. And the things that I didn't like, instead of bitching about them, pardon my language,
Changed.
I took action.
Yep.
I did something about it. So first and foremost, how I climbed out was step one, was looking at myself in the mirror, realizing you're the problem, dude. Step two is begging God to forgive me and putting God above myself and trusting God with everything in my life. That was step two. Step three was I reached out to people that were doing things that I wanted to do. Glenn Lundy, Chris Saraceno, Frank Lopes, Lisa Copeland. Like I had a freaking support system of people that were way better than me, doing things way bigger than me. And they genuinely cared about me and loved me. I had family members and friends as I started to climb success, whatever the hell that is. I don't even know what that, as I started to do things, we'll just say as I started to do things,
Ascend.
I had friends and family back off and like not there for me. But I had complete strangers that are now dear friends of mine pick up the phone. How you doing? I've been following you. Wow, you're just people loving on me. And so I surrounded myself with a tribe of super achievers. And I'm going to tell you right now, of all the things that I did, freaking my life, not just business by proxy grows. As your life grows, your business comes with you. Because you're bigger than your business, okay? Because on your deathbed, screw your business. I'm going to tell you, if I'm thinking about this freaking company on my deathbed, I didn't do my life right. I sure as hell don't want to be thinking about this, right? So as you elevate in your life, your vocation follows. So the most important thing I did was connect with people that were doing great things. And that alone took me to the next level. And through those great people, I met more great people. And through those great people, I started getting great clients. And having great clients is a recipe for a joy-filled life. Because I think we've all had some pretty bad clients. I've had some abusive customers, man, and I don't feel that anymore. Here, you know what? I'm a boxer. I'm not as good at, I'm not at here. I may not be as good as you, but I can box.
That's okay.
You can't beat your customers up anymore. You go to jail for that.
Yeah, but at the same time, to your point, Adam, it's you versus you at the end of the day. You just came out with a social media post recently that said, I've changed. Well, good. Thank God I've changed. Nobody's built to stay the same. And if somebody that maybe you grew up with or your family, your friends can't understand like, well, they're different now and this, that, and the third. Well, they might just not be in alignment with the same type of goals and lifestyle that you're going after, or whatever it might be, and whatever might be at the core of that, right? Like we do this comparison game, like Sandy had mentioned, on social media so often, where we're just like, oh, well, what does this person have, or what are they doing, or who are they speaking with, right? So now it's that external comparison rather than that internal reflection of self.
Amen.
Like, what do we
Amen.
truly want as human beings in our own personal lives? So the fact that you were able to start there, then realize I need to be out there in the network. My network is my net worth. Where you learn is where you earn, and then be able to apply those things and really ask for forgiveness from God to be able to take that next step. I'm sorry I had to interrupt, but the box,
I'm glad you did.
it's not me against the person across the ring from me. It is 100% me versus me, and my ability to think critically and most importantly, foster relationships that are meaningful. No matter where you are in your journey, the biggest
I
thing
want to shift the perspective a little bit, guys, and I want to shift it towards how we develop people in our industry, right?
Oh.
And so, because I think that it's sorely lacking. I know there's no shortage of folks out there that are screaming into the mobile phone screens, the tablets, and the computer screens. That you've got to be more like them if you ever want to succeed in this business. And the truth of the matter is that we've got to learn how to help people develop, and give them the tools and resources and the runway to do it, but not require that they become you or become somebody else in order to be the success that they desire to be in their life. The power of authenticity, to me, is what eliminates that doubt that you were talking about before, Adam, in the 6-inch space in between your ears, when you're feeling that you're not worthy, that you're not up to the challenge, that this isn't, ever going to happen for me. We put so much pressure on folks to achieve incredible levels of success way too quickly. And that's why we see people flame out, burn out, and then blow out of our business on such a regular basis. And by the way, we're not alone. Okay. Ron and I work in multiple different verticals where we see similar challenges.
Sure.
When you see dealerships that you work with that have great development curriculums, great development resources for their people, what would you use? What word would you use to describe the culture in operations like that?
Oh, it's night and day. So I am, praise God, I am blessed to work with some really incredible dealers. When I started my career, when I started Ascent Dealer Services, I had to put food on the table. So I would sign any dealer that would talk to me.
Sure.
I would beg, independent dealer, franchise, I don't care who you are, I would beg for the business because I needed it. Yeah. Along the way, I met some hard, there's one dealer that takes a kick. I'll never, ever say his name, but the most abusive human on the planet, like literally abused me and my team so bad. Like it hurts. So then when you get to a place where you can pick who you do business with, like we don't sign everybody. You got to fit our character. You got to fit our mold, or we're not going to work with you. Yeah. If you don't have a growth mindset, we're not going to be a fit.
Right.
So I will say 95% of our dealers all have that growth mindset. The dealers invest in coaching and mentoring. Dealers have processes. And I'm going to use a word that people hate. Those processes are held accountable.
Oh, it's the best word. That's a great word.
So our mantra at Ascent Dealer Service is we got a team of the right retail people, process, accountability, sprinkled with professional coaching that never ends. 95% of our dealers have those things. They have coaching solutions, whether they're using Jonathan Dawson. I'll plug him because Psychology is an incredible tool. John. So I've got a lot of stores I work in that they're using John's model. And then they've got guys like Glenn Lundy, people like Sandy Sarant, people that have this growth mindset that are working with multiple dealers all over the country that can bring levels of flair that aren't just in their PMA. So those are the things that I see. The dealers that are truly winning, they're open-minded. They don't want to sit still. Changes in their vocabulary. They're okay with accountability. They're okay to be challenged on their thoughts and their ideas without feeling threatened.
Correct.
And
Ego
those are
aside.
the dealers that are constantly growing and evolving. And it's really, 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 really cool to be a part of it. Like it is really cool to be a part of it.
You know, one of the dealers that we work with, Jeff Mays, he's on the screen right now. He's with Keffer, and he's operating 2 stores for Keffer right now. But he is a guy that is so keenly focused on culture and leadership and developing people. You know, and he keeps it simple, which is something I genuinely appreciate. It's not this complex process that people have to go through. And a lot of times what I see out there, Adam, in the marketplace is these complex systems that are designed to make the selling professionals or service advisors more effective at what they do. They get deluged with statistics and data. They get deluged with all these different tactics and techniques that they've got to use to break down, you know, personality types and whatnot. You know, I love keeping it simple in that regard to help people develop in a way that, as I said to you before, is authentic and gives them a chance to really become the very best person that they're meant to be. It goes right back to the core value of your book, which is, you know, once you recognize that I have the ability, once I know I'm the problem and I've got the ability to become the solution, because that's the opposite side of the same coin. If you're the problem, you're also the solution, right? And so keeping it simple for folks and leading with a very simple philosophy that allows them to buy into exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it the way that they're doing it becomes the best way to develop people in our business. And, you know, Jeff spoke to the responsibility that we have to our people. You know, if you want to see lower turnover in your business, whether we're talking about a dealership or any other business out there, take the time to slow it down a little bit for your new people. Give them a chance to really sink their teeth into what your core values are as an organization and your culture, and then connect them with a leader in your operation. Give them a chance to have lunch on a regular basis or a 5 to 10 minute meeting. How long does the 5-minute meeting take? Right. I mean,
it goes so far. And you know what's great? As an industry, we're doing much better. We're doing better. And you know what's great is social media amplifies that. Like, I'll give you an example. You got like the Carter Myers people with Liza and Scott Simon and how they run their organization and what they've done. And I love both of them dearly. I don't do any business with them, but like I'm fans and support. I love those guys.
Agreed.
But what they've done is they've helped our entire, I'm using them as an example. Dealers like them, they've helped our entire industry get better. Other dealers are seeing how they're treating their people. And they're like, well, maybe if I try that, I'll keep my people longer. Nobody wants to replace an employee. I hate using that E word. I don't have employees, but we have teammates. But like nobody wants to replace somebody. It's super expensive. So you got guys like Adam Aarons and you got people like Liza. I got my people, Mickey Seeley of the Seeley Group and Stan Qualls. Like, I'll tell you, and I'll give them a shout out. The way they run their entire operations in sync, what you see online is exactly how it is in their store. Everybody's in alignment and sync, and everybody loves each other, and everybody serves each other. You know, when I started F&I, go back 100 years ago, when I'm in the late 90s, early 2000s, if I were to tell my F&I partner, hey, I got to run to lunch real quick, and one of my customers showed up, and it was a really big back end opportunity, they would have just took the deal, not told me about it, put it on their gross.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's the type of stuff we do. But now as an industry, we help each other. We support each other. We love on one another. And I will say as an industry, we're doing a really damn good job. We got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. But we're doing a much better job.
The dealerships or the dealer groups that you have referenced, the thing that I like most is that none of them comes across on social media as perfect. Right? Yeah. They're just doing it better. They've made a commitment. Adam Aarons and Liza at the very tippy top. I don't know Mickey personally, but I hear nothing but positive stuff. And he, to me, I watch his social media content because I just recently was able to connect with him, and it's authentic. It's real. He's talking about real life stuff. And that's where I go back to the authenticity piece. Adam Aarons said something to me. I've repeated it multiple times on social media. I'm going to do it again right now. I asked him about growth and acquisition about a year and a half ago at a Business Bourbon and Cigars event that we were hosting. And he said, I have enough money. I don't need any more money. He said, for me now, it's about my people. He says, so I don't need another dealership. He says, truthfully, I've got more than I need right now. But if I have someone else that has earned the opportunity and has an appetite for running a dealership, then I'll consider an acquisition. And that to me spoke everything about what's at the core of the culture that Adam Aarons has in his group. And I think Liza, with the move that she made, she's one of the very few dealer organizations out there that has an ESOP and an employee stock ownership plan, which is putting your money where your mouth is. It's a great liquidity play for the dealer. Let's be honest. That's a fact. But the real benefit ultimately long-term is what she was looking for, which is I can change people's lives by letting them truly become something or become part of something even bigger than just themselves, which is what most high-quality people are looking for out of their professional life. Let me become part of something bigger than just me.
Amen. Amen to that. Yeah. And their slogan at CMA is, owners do more, right? I mean, everybody's an owner. Owners do. I love it. They've done a fabulous job.
The other piece that you mentioned too, Adam, was that they could see these things about CMA, right? Or Adam Aarons and Patriot, right? We talk about constantly that we hide in this industry. We hide our success stories. We hide the stories about the detail guy that ends up becoming a finance manager or the technician that becomes a fixed ops director. And what other industry do you see that happen in? There's really not a lot. And if it does happen in other industries, it's spoke about. We have to do a better job.
You completely swung. You just went to throw the haymaker right and didn't lead with the jab, which is one of the 7 deadly recruiting sins that I speak about. Can you please shamelessly plug that PDF that people can go and get for free at SaintLouis.com? That is such a great point. And Adam, you are the epitome of it, a success story. Somebody that started out as a porter, all right, that put an orbital. By the way, any man or woman that can handle an orbital on a dark metallic car and still come out alive at the end of the day is somebody worth, developing over time. I think we'd all agree. But you're the epitome of the story that Ron's referencing. And so many dealerships, almost every single one of them has a story like that where they can share at least 1, 2, 10 stories of success in terms of developing people in their organization. And it is often the biggest missed opportunity that we have in terms of recruiting top talent into our organizations or top prospects for that matter.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Absolutely. Agreed 100%.
So we're coming up on the top of the hour. We got like 8 minutes before we hit the top of the hour. I want to close out the last 8 to 10 minutes or so and just ask you, as we look in the crystal ball for 2023, buddy, what are the 2 or 3 things that we should be looking for aggregately as we look at retail automotive? Uptick in business, is it going to stay the same? Are we going to see it level off a little bit or decline? What do you see in 2023 from where you're sitting?
So I'm not one of those doom and gloomers. I try to keep a positive attitude. I try not to say, I don't like to compare to other people. I think we're going to have a little bit of more of the same. I think that the used car market's it's going to start continually correcting itself.
Yes.
The days of making all the money on every deal, those are dwindling. Our economy's not in great shape. I'm a real estate investor, and right now I ain't buying nothing. It's scary. Rates aren't great. I do think now's the time. There's a couple things we need to do. And this is speaking with my F&I hat. Okay. And this will give you an example. I'm in Jersey, just signed a VW deal last week. And the dealer basically sat down and said exactly what I've been preaching. The dealer goes, Adam, things have been great, but I don't think they're going to continue to be so great. I think we need to focus more on F&I because as these front end margins shrink, I need to make my money. And we're not doing so great in F&I. So we got to that's my focal point for 2023. So I think 2 things. A, we need to be training. Training's not something that we did. It's something that we do. It's something we must do. Sales training. Guess what, sales managers? You need training too.
Amen, bro.
You may think you're the best, but you're not the best. Okay.
Leadership training.
Sales managers need leadership training, people development training. GSMs and GMs need executive high-level training. F&I people need to be training harder than they've ever trained. Every time I speak, every time I give a keynote, I start off is fights aren't won in the cage. Okay. Fights aren't won in the cage. Okay. I may have gotten the knockout. You might have seen the knockout in the cage, You didn't see
Right.
the 12-week prep. You didn't
Hey,
see
Adam, real quick, I just want to throw in the quote on my wall in my Ali photo. The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road,
Amen.
long before I dance under those lights. That's all.
You're damn right. Yes.
Right.
And so that right there, fights are won in training camp. So what's training camp? Training camps are showroom floor early in the morning before customers show up. Are we drilling? Are we training? Is our lot tightened right? How's our product knowledge? How's our communication with our people? Are we doing one-on-ones with salespeople? Are you sitting down with the desk guy if you're an F&I manager? Are you helping each other? Are you serving each other? Those things are going to allow you to raise your hand in that ringer cage. So I think we need to train harder now, okay? And we need to prepare F&I for 2023. We've got to continue to maximize. We've been doing well in F&I, but as these prices drop and consumers are like, I don't want to buy that, are we able to convert? So I think those are two focal points for 2023.
I think you raised two great points, and I want to dovetail them with two thoughts. The first thing is that, a lot of times what I see in the training realm is that we're using difficulty and confusing it with training harder. Just because you trade harder on something that's difficult for people to absorb, digest, learn, and then execute on doesn't mean it's going to get better, right? Simplification, okay? And I think Jobs said it best. He said that, any idiot can make things more complicated. It takes real genius to simplify to the point where everybody can get it, adopt it, and execute on it. And so that's my first thought. My second thought is to your point about, putting the time in, the training, working harder, okay? Not making it more difficult. There's a difference between the two, but working harder requires something that I talk about very often, which is having a daily sense of urgency to get the little mundane, boring, not sexy things done every single day. You have to have that sense of urgency, and then you have to blend it with that patience as a leader to allow your people to develop over time. The last 2.5 years, we've allowed ourselves to get a little bit out of shape in terms of how we handle, the transactional experience for our prospects coming through the door and our clients, because we could.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, we're not going to be able to. We're starting to feel that already. And so, now investing in developing your people or redeveloping your people, re-energizing them, and then giving them a purpose to pursue in 2023 will do more to get them on track and get them back into ring shape so we can raise their hand in that cage or in that ring, as you said before. So absolutely. I echo your sentiment. So you got to have that daily sense of urgency, but you got to have that Chinese 1,000-year thinking, that patience to allow all the efforts to catch up with the results that you seek ultimately.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Where can people find you, buddy? I know we've put your website up on the screen. Ron, maybe you could do that one more time. Just pop his website up there.
I use LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn for professional connections, and then I use Facebook. Just Adam Marburger. I do have an Adam Paul Marburger Facebook. I don't use it as much, but just my standard Facebook. I do most of my stuff there. Instagram. My assistant made me get a TikTok, whatever you call it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
TikTok. I don't.
My kids heckle me. My kids make fun of me all the time, but I've never posted a single video on it. Like it's not even, it's my account, but I've never even used it. So I got to figure out how to use that.
I had it and got rid of it. I just didn't want to.
Yeah. The Instagram.
Well, I don't want to go geopolitical here. I just want to tell you that I took my kids off TikTok. I shouldn't say I took them off. I sent out a message a couple of weeks back. I said, guys, crush your TikTok account. Get off. All right. That's it. And thankfully, both of them said, oh, Dad, we did that months ago. So I am while I am not a TikTok fan, I get the value that's being squeezed out of it by some. But I also think that, there's some short-term gain, there's some pain.
We could have a 4-hour conversation. Maybe we do that over a glass of bourbon. But like I could talk to you about, because I read some things on that. But Facebook for me, Facebook and LinkedIn, I built my company using Facebook and LinkedIn. I mean,
amen. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
buddy, I want to thank you for taking the time. I've looked forward to this since I had the chance to share some time in Clubhouse with you a few months back, and I was blown away by your humility and sense of purpose. Those are two qualities that I just find really attractive in people, and so I looked forward to this. I'm glad we finally got it done. I'm going to give a nod to my man Ron for putting it all together as always. He produces the show and makes it all happen behind the scenes, and we cannot do it without him. I do want to hold you to this. I want you to come back around the June timeframe, and let's take a look at the mid-year point and see what we see at that point, because I think it's going to be an interesting first 6 months of 2023. There's going to be a lot that develops, evolves, and exposes itself for us, economically, as well as specifically in our industry. So I want you to come back and talk about that.
Done.
Let's plug real quickly Business Bourbon and Cigars, March 7th through the 10th. It's Business Bourbon and Cigars number 5. We are going to be at La Cantera Resort and Spa in San Antonio, Texas. If you want more information on attending, it's businessbourboncigarsfordealers.com. You can register right there at the website below. And I will tell you, it promises to be the best ever. We keep saying it. We keep
getting better, Sandy.
It does. It does. And it's all because of the quality of people that attend and their willingness to generously share and participate. Adam Aarons is an alum, as well as my buddy Mike Poro. We had April Simmons, Tim Cox we talked about before, Dave Boyle, Arnold Casita. We could go on and on. Frank Alvarez. We had Troy Duhan show up this year. Liza showed up. Glenn Lundy showed up. My buddy Patrick down at Beaver, Patrick Abad showed up. Blew my mind. It was so great to see him. But it's a fun event. And Adam, at some point in time, I know we got a little conflict because we got a competitor in there right now. But at some point in time, if the stars align, would love to see you as part of that event.
Absolutely.
Well.
You just let me know.
We just go offline and have a bourbon. We do that.
You let me know. I'm here.
Yeah, and next time you're in Philly, Adam, let me know. I just texted you, and as Glenn Lundy would say, I'd love to shake your hand and hug your neck.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to be there often. We're in that Philly market, so absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we're going to hold you to that, bro. Jersey, Philly, the 5 boroughs. If you're getting within earshot of us, we want a chance to chop it up with you.
100%. Done, and done. Excellent. So we appreciate you, boys. What a great, this was a great time. I'm glad to be here today. I really, this was a lot of fun. So
back at you, buddy. Back at you. All right. We'll be back in the next couple of weeks with a couple of more episodes we're excited about. We've got the holiday season upon us, so we're wishing you nothing but the best during the holiday season. Adam, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever else is being celebrated out there these days. I know we are a holiday fluid crew here at the Automotive Intel Report, so we wish you a happy every goddamn thing out there that there is. So thanks for spending the time with us. It's time for us to step up, to stand out, and we are out.
Take care, everyone. Thank you.